Now, let's talk about the beast. Welcome back to Disorganized Religion. I'm Reverend Cal, the Reverend, and I'm here to drop some more education, enlightenment, and entertainment on you. The last time we talked, I was scaring the shit out of you talking about the beast. So let's talk a little more about who that is. The beast is the bad guy from Revelation. It's not Revelations, by the way. It's plural, by the way. It's Revelation. It's the ending of the Bible. This is where they talk about the end, the apocalypse, if you will. This is what most of you incorrectly call the Antichrist. Yes, that's wrong. The Antichrist is not one person. He's a type of person, so he's not the Jedi we're looking for. So quit asking if someone is the Antichrist because it's like asking if someone is the actuary. There are many of them. But the beast is one dude. Just one beast, and that's who we're talking about here, the beast. Now, I'm certainly going to go more into depth into what the apocalypse of Revelation is talking about because it's one of my favorite. But we're going to do a Cliff Notes version here. If you're waiting for the apocalypse, you can quit because it's already happened. This happened almost 2,000 years ago, which is exactly what it says in Revelation and elsewhere. This stuff was all supposed to happen before this generation passes. Hell, the first verse of Revelation is, say, these things must soon take place. The beast in Revelation is referring to Rome, or more specifically, Emperor Nero, who was in charge of those Romans when John wrote this book. No, Nero was a dick, even by Roman emperor standards, and that says a lot. People in his day even called him the Beast. Dude was pretty okay until he killed his mom. Then he kind of went crazy after that. Yeah, he wasted his stepbrother, and there's no actual evidence he started the fire which burned half of Rome, but it was awfully convenient because it made room to build his new palace complex he'd planned, and it gave him an excuse to kill some Christians. Yeah, he was doing that. So John was writing about him. One reason I'm sure about that is the number of the beast. Most Bibles have the beast number as 666, right? Metal face, yeah. But the earliest version says it's 616. Now that's weird. He's got two numbers. But if you assign numbers to letters in Nero's name, in Latin they add up to 616. And if you do it in Greek, they add up to 666. So that's how I know we're talking about Nero here. Now the rest of the book, it's largely allegorical. So the seven-headed dragon represents the seven-hilled city. Rome is the city of seven hills. But one more character in this book, pretty important. He's best buddies with the beast. This is the false prophet. He pretends to be a man of God, but he came to help the beast in this final battle. Quit looking at Joel Osteen or Jerry Falwell, whoever you want to talk about. Like I said, this shit happened a long time ago. This is a prophet who helped the beast, that's Rome, win the final battle. Now, I'm talking about a guy who spread the word about Jesus despite never having met him. He was inventing stuff he didn't say because, he knew better. He wasn't so big on holding Rome accountable, too. In fact, you could say he was the guy who said you should serve Caesar and slaves should be good slaves, and he was the guy who said snipping your schmeckle was optional. Jesus didn't say that. Jesus was big on snipping your schmeckle, and the other apostles thought his dong looked funny. But this dude, he wrote a good chunk of the Bible. I'm talking about Paul. That's right, the wedding dude that wrote about love and stuff. That's the false prophet. So, Paul never met Jesus. So while Paul was writing his romantic Christian love porn, Rome was looking to stamp out these newfangled Jews who don't like to pay interest. So back to our beast here. So after a while, Nero, the beast, had pissed everyone around him off, and he dethroned himself. Actually, they believe he had his servants stab him to dethrone him. But by this time, by the time he dethroned himself or unalived himself, the Jews were in full revolt over his bullshit. This revolt, it started around 30 years after they took Jesus out. Remember how I said that Jesus was pissed about debt slavery? What do you think the first thing the Jews did when the rebellion started? They went to the temple and they burned the public archives. You know what the public archives were? It's where they wrote down, it's where they kept track of how many pigeons you owed them. It was the record of debts, and now they burned it, so nobody was in debt. The final battle had begun. That started the battle, man. You don't burn those things. So the battle, it didn't end up so well. Unlike the movies, the bad guys didn't win. They actually held out pretty well. Their rebellion lasted longer than Nero and actually the next three emperors before they finally lost. But the Romans wiped them out, destroyed their temple, and Rome became the new home of Jesus. All right, so now we're in Rome. So this story goes that Peter was one of the guys who was an actual apostle and not a dick like Paul. Peter gets to move to Rome and becomes the first pope. The pope who is like God on earth. This is absolutely not a made up position because the pope said it wasn't. So, and he was the God on earth. So suck it. So we still have a pope today. Some people believe that he still has power. Okay. So these popes are crazy powerful. They were pretty strict about the whole no interest on loans things at first, but eventually the popes, they saw that the Jews were making money ignoring these laws, and they got jealous. So they started like during the Crusades, but only the church at first could collect interest because the Pope is God and all, so his rules. Some Italian families started getting permission to get that interest, so they started giving permission, started bending various rules, and off we go. So these Romans, they managed to hide the actual reason that Jesus was pissed off, convinced us that murdering him was our fault before we were born, and then got us to forget the whole, getting us to forget the whole don't charge interest thing and forgive your debts thing. It wouldn't be too hard. Did I say debts? I meant trespasses. Forgive your trespasses, not debts. Don't forgive debts. So the nice little trick there. But commercial banks would get powerful really quickly. So with the growth of trade, they started getting more powerful than even the lizard people, the blue-blooded royals, with the guys who were still in power because God said that their great-great-grandpa had special blood, but now these banks had more money than them. So these regional banks grew to be powerful, but the international banking, that started to really cross national boundaries. Started with the Rothschilds in Europe, but quickly grew to put a stranglehold on planet. And this is the beast that we serve today. The central bankers over a century ago designed a world based on debt. Every dollar around the world represents debt. The total debt of the world, it's about a third of a quadrillion dollars. That's a third of a quadrillion, $320 trillion in debt. To who? It's not a rhetorical question. Who the hell do we owe all that money to? So maybe ask another question, maybe a rhetorical one. What if we decided that we didn't owe all that money? Are we afraid Jupiter is going to show up and with a tow truck and start repossessing shit? I'm getting silly here, but you get my point. The beast has enslaved us, but he doesn't have power anymore. His only power is ignorance. The first thing we have to do is take back our history. It's been stolen from us by the beast, and it's buried beneath the beast's throne. There are 53 miles of bookshelves that hold our history, and we can't see it. That's what's underneath the Vatican. 53 miles of books that they collected from around the globe and nobody has ever read. There are answers down there, but the Vatican's power lies in our ignorance. They will never permit us to have it, so we have to take it. We have to take our history back. So besides that, we also have to understand the stranglehold that banking has in our world, and also understand the horrors that brought by a century of constant war, starvation, and fucking country music. Sorry, I lost you there, sorry. But if you want me to end on a good note here, we're close, baby. You don't understand, but the beast is getting uncomfortable. I'm feeling a deep shift here, and where you see madness in the world, I see the beast's death throes. The beast is losing. That part isn't scary for me. That's going to happen. The beast will lose. The scary part is the power vacuum if we slay the beast. We've been slaves for like 20 centuries. Few people can even imagine what freedom would feel like. So let me give you a picture. I mean, lots of time, free time. You could raise a family without working 100 hours a week. You'd have time to lead a life of fulfillment, not like feeling you're running on a hamster wheel. So that's what kind of world we could look at. That's the kind of world, if we can release ourselves from the stranglehold that the beast has on us. It sounds great. I mean, we can defeat the beast, but we also need to be ready to build this world. Are you ready?